Sundar, at the end of the day, it is the taxpayers' money which is being wasted each time there is a disruption. I remember various instances where Supreme Court and various other constitutional bodies also take note of the fact that debate has become a rarity inside the parliament. It's only ruckus and disruptions that we see. What has happened today is that these 4 Congress MPs have been suspended. They say that this is a misuse of procedure. Protests have been earlier allowed in the well of the House. How do you see these developments?
See, I won't go into the blame game as the honorable member from the Congress has said that they did it, so we are doing it now. Let's not go into that at all. What he also said was that they tried to raise this these issues for the last 6 days, and the government didn't respond. So they were forced to, take this path of showing placards and all that. What next? Will they carry sticks to Parliament and start beating up people just because the government is not responding? The other point here is that as a taxpayer, I want a proper discussion on this whole thing. And I do not want to see disruptions in Parliament. I would like to hear the government's reply on why the prices of essential commodities or many other commodities are rising. But when the speaker says that there will be a discussion at such and such a time, why does the opposition want a discussion on their own terms? Why don't they listen to the speaker and have the discussion at the appointed time? Let us see, as the taxpayer, I'd like to hear this discussion in Parliament. I'd like to hear what the government says about this. But why can't the opposition also cooperate with the speaker and the government and allow this discussion to happen? Why do they want to have the discussion on their terms and at a time of their choice?
Yeah. Mr. Manikam Tego, do you want to come in on there? The key point is that this has also become an ego battle of sorts. You want to put a point. You want to say that, yes, there has to be a discussion, and the discussion will happen on the terms of the opposition. If the government has committed to a timeline, we don't care. We want it in the time that we have set. So this is rather about trying to create a protest for the sake of it. Does that criticism hold true?
Not at all. We have to understand it. The records will show that in the budget session the productivity would have been more percentage wise, because in that time government was ready to discuss about the issues which we are able to. We know, I think, that first 1 week will be a troublesome week, and we always give in the after third or second day and others. We also understand government businesses has to come out to be passed under this. We are also in the treasury benches. We are also been in the government. We also understand that compulsions of the government to pass certain legislative businesses. But main thing is, when the government becomes arrogant and they become very much
but please substantiate
about not even allowing
this,
the LOP.
Sir, substantiate this. How have they become arrogant if they have said that within this time we are going to have a debate, or after so many days, once the finance minister returns, we'll have a debate? How does that qualify as arrogance?
No, madam. One thing is that, for example, LPG price rise. We are put a separate German motion for the LPG price rise. LPG price rise doesn't need the finance minister to answer. It needs the petroleum natural gas minister to answer. What is that? What is the problem in it? Let them allow a discussion on that thing, a 2-hour discussion or an half-an-hour discussion or an 1-hour discussion. Let us have a structured thing. In late night also, the honorable speaker has been very hardworking in nature, and he has till 2 o'clock also we had sat for the parliament earlier houses.
Mr. Om Birla, who's known for his very patient temperament, was very angry today with the manner in which the House was being conducted. I'll come back to you, but Mr. Rasheed Kidwai has been very patiently with us. Mr. Kidwai, when you see these suspensions become a norm in each session of the Parliament, what are your thoughts as a journalist observing all of this?
Anusha, I have covered Parliament for over 3 decades, and I have seen a lot of this so-called unruly behavior by all political parties. So they have a different set of rules. When they are in government, they say and speak something different. When they are in opposition, they speak a very different language. It is a sign of helplessness. The House must run properly, and it is job of a presiding officer. If there is unruly behavior, there are various steps are there. Suspension is a very extreme step. So this is something which is very unfortunate that what is happening, because members have been elected not to get suspended. It is like a class teacher who has a unruly students. If she just sent he or she.
But Mr. Rasheed Kidwai, the counter argument is that if there is a rule that exists in the book, and if the speaker wants to implement it, there's nothing wrong about it per se.
Very good question. No, Anusha. Yeah, that is there. But that is been there. You see, when this, you cannot weigh in everything in terms of, minutes and the taxpayers' money. These are very fashionable arguments. But the truth of the matter is, what would BJP say when they disrupted the House in 2005 and managed to, secure resignation of the then Foreign Minister, Ken Natwar Singh on Volcker report? So was the disruption, undemocratic? It helped. On 2G scam, there were so many times there was a disruption in total throughout 2011, 12, 13. There were a lot of disruptions were there. And Mr. Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj, both of them were on record to say that obstruction, disruption is very much part of, parliamentary norm. Because how do you do it? I'm not saying this is not a situation. At that time, by BJP's own admission, a grave wrong was being conducted on Commonwealth Games and 2G, and they did disrupt.
Let me bring in Aprajita on that point. Aprajita, it's a fair point that Rasheed Kidwai is making, that BJP was a formidable opposition party during the UPA years. I mean, tall leaders like Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj had brought the UPA government on their knees, made them accountable for the scams that were ailing the country at that point in time. And at that point, disruption was one of the tools.